Hi everyone, this is Cash from Cloud Soldier again after a long time. Sorry about that, I was a bit busy. Right, just diving straight away into what we're going to be discussing today. We will talk about network security group. This topic is especially I've designed this for exam AZ-104 for associate administrator. I'm glad you guys are here, especially if you are preparing for the AZ-104 Microsoft Azure Administrator certification. So basically, in this video, what I'll be diving into essential security features in Azure. Networks, like I just mentioned, Network Security Group or NSG for short. So Network Security Group, when you're working in an environment, you call it like as a short word, NSGs. So what is NSG or Network Security Group? So basically, you can say a network security group is a lightweight firewall in Azure. It is used to filter inbound and outbound traffic. Inbound means traffic coming into resources. Outbound means traffic going out of your resources to outside of your network. So that's for example, your virtual machines, subnets, or even network interface cards. Why NSG matters? So this is especially for 104 exam. So basically, like I said, this is like our first line of defense, and we need to understand who can we can allow to come into our network and how it's going to go out into outside of the world. So we define, say for example, if I quickly show you my annotation, where is it? Yes, annotate. Yeah. So as you can see this is an example. So we have got, this is the network, as you can see. So this network is called, so we have created this virtual network in our Azure. So this is the subnet, and we have got a virtual machine here. This is a network interface card. This is a public access from where you can RDP into this virtual machines. This is a disk attached to this virtual machine, and that's where we create our inbound and outbound rules. Like as I mentioned before here, that this is used to filter network traffic between Azure resources and Azure network. Here you create inbound and outbound rules to allow or deny traffic. Right. I hope you understand by now. So let's clear this, our writing and right. Network security groups. This is used to filter network traffic between Azure resources in an Azure network, like I just mentioned before. So for example, we have created a network, virtual network, and we call it, say, so we call it VNet. So for example, that VNet range is 10.0.16 or slash whatever it is. So this is our virtual network. So here we create inbound. Inbound means traffic coming inside. That's inbound. And traffic outside from this network is called outbound rules. And we create, which allows to deny traffic, outbound rules, one of the defaults. So what do we do? So when we do our lab in after this, we will show you how to create Azure rule and in different scenarios, what we'll be doing. So name. So when we create an NSG rule, So first thing we create a rule name. So like say allow port 80 or something. We'll see this in the example anyway. And we give this priority. So for example, this is a name as you can see. So allow VNet inbound. So these I'll discuss in a second, but I'm just giving examples. So you can call it any name you want. So this is the priority. So normally we have got ports like about 65,000 ports in our TCP network, and we can allow. But this is over here is a priority you can give. So whatever less priority, say for example 200. So always the rule will take an effect of the lower priority, so that will come first. So always remember, lower the priority, the rule will be effective first. Right. So rules are processed in order of priority, like I just mentioned. Source or destination. This is very important to understand. So source is, say for example, let me clear this. 1 second. So for example, you have a virtual machine that's got an IP address of 10.0.0.4, and you so for example, um, my student is sitting here in somewhere at his home on his virtual on his laptop, and he's trying to access this machine. So this is called source, and this is called, he's trying to access this, that's called destination. And I hope you understand this. So we can have source of destination like via IP address, or we can have service tags, or we can have application security group. So we'll discuss this in future anyway. So we can create rules based on these protocols, TCP, UDP, ICMP, and we can have a port range, and we can allow uh, or deny different rules or actions. Now let's talk about default rules. So default rules, as you can see, whenever you create a virtual network, you will have these inbound and outbound security rules by default. So, for example, let's explain this. Any traffic allow VNet inbound. So any traffic coming, say for example, this is your VNet, and you got VMs here in a subnet. So any traffic coming and going from this VNet is allowed by default, unless you make a new rule. So this is always allowed. So anything from load balancer, so load balancer we'll discuss in future, that where it load balances the traffic. So that's also allowed by default. And anything, there's a rule, deny all inbound. So anything traffic coming from anywhere is also denied, but we can change this rule. Same thing for outbound. Allow, so anything can go from this VNet to outside, allowed. Anything from this VNet go to internet is allowed. As you can see, the name of the rule, allow internet outbound, allowed VNet outbound. This one allow VNet inbound, same thing. And it also same, deny all outbound. So I hope you understand NSG. So in the short term, NSG is like a first line of defense where you filter your inbound and outbound rules. I hope you understand. Let's see you guys in the next lecture. Bye for now. Right. In our first part, remember we discussed NSG. Um, and in this lab, what we'll do, we will just define our couple of inbound rules and discuss how that works in our environment. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cash from Cloud Soldier. So as I discussed as an intro, what we'll be doing. So let's get started. And today with me, my student Rabia is with me. Hello, Rabia.
Hi, Cash.
Okay, good. Okay, let's start this idea. So what we'll do, we create a virtual machine, like a Linux virtual machine, and we'll create our first inbound rule based on that. So I've got a couple of notes here. So what we'll do, we will create a virtual machine called web VM Linux 01, and we'll name our virtual network app network. Then we'll install Engine WebEx server in that machine. Then we'll update our machine with all the dependencies and all that, such as we use this command sudo app install nginx. To access this machine, obviously, we need to have a rule which we'll create. So basically, when you access any web page, by default, it looks for port 80. So what we'll do, we'll create port 80 on this web server, on this virtual network. And by default, we'll see when we create this virtual machine that port 22 is there by default. And there are some other default rules which we cannot modify, cannot delete, like we discussed in our first lecture, that it comes by default, such as inbound rules, allow VNet, allow load balancer, allow outbound VNet, allow outbound internet. That's by default and deny rule. So we'll test this, we'll create this rule and try to access our web server. And when our virtual machine is created, we'll try to access this web server by typing our public IP address into our browser. And by default, it should not allow because this port 80 is not allowed in our NSG rule. Then we'll add this port 80. Then we'll do another thing. We'll add a range of port from 70 to 100, and we'll give this a low priority and see what will happen. So let's quickly jump in and we create a virtual machine Linux. So
Yes.
probably you guys have seen this so many times. Just let's create this again. Create virtual machine, and we just call this. What's the machine name?
Web VM
Web
hyphen
WebVM hyphen
Linux
01,
hyphen yeah
Linux
zero
hyphen zero
zero
one.
one. Yes.
All right, so we choose UK South, and we don't want availability zone for timing, and Ubuntu is fine. This is fine. We use password. So we use Azure user and password PASSW. I normally use, got basic one so I can remember. It's up to you guys. So you can see that by default is allowing SSH secure shell 2022. So from this one we can add we can connect to our virtual machine. So go to
Uh,
disks and let's just waiting for it and just say normal SSD. Just use as default networking.
Sorry. Can we
Hello?
move to basics?
What do you mean?
The resource group name.
Resource group name?
Yep.
What do you mean? Oh, this one.
Yes.
What resource group do we need?
App hyphen
Oh, right.
network.
That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Good. Initiate. Good. Thank you. Well done.
Yes.
All right. And next networking. So it's created a default
Yes.
virtual network. See, we have VM Linux 01 VNet, and it's created a default subnet, and this is a our public IP on this virtual machine. Okay, go to management, And next monitoring. Don't need disable. Blue does it. Click create review. And it should. We don't want to save you. Okay, and it's just validating create. Let's come back when it's created. Right, so our resource is completed. So if you go to our resource, as you can see, you can see is a Linux machine. This is the public IP address. This is our resource group. Status is running. So this is our virtual network. As you can see, virtual network over here, our subnets. By default, you can see this is a subnet. And if you go back to again, and can you quickly tell me where do I see its private IP address?
In the overview, and you will scroll down.
Mm, why is it showing? Actually, it's there.
It
Oh, it's
should
a
be.
VNet because in VNet, that's why.
Yes.
So this is resource. If you go to the next machine now, yeah.
Now,
So
yep. It's
as you can see,
this.
it took this IP address and this is particular. So let's go back to our plan. So what is it? So we created a virtual machine. So now we install Nginx web server. Yeah.
Yes.
So we go to our terminal, right? So let's connect to this virtual machine. So I'll just copy that and go back to and see and to log on to virtual machine, what's the command? Remind me please. SSH
SSH.
and the username.
There's
Sorry,
at
so
the
this is the
rate.
username when we created the machine and we typed in the username and password. So
Yes.
we called it username and at
IP.
you type the
IP
public IP
address.
address
Yes.
and enter. So just say yes.
Yes.
And now we are is asking for the password you enter for the machine. Enter.
Yes.
Yes, so you can see that we are connected to this machine. To check it, we can see ls minus LA. You can see all our files in the virtual machines and everything. So just forget about this. This is out of scope. So what we're trying to do first step, you need to install WebEx server.
Engineering.
That's called Nginx. So not WebEx, sorry, web server. So first we need to do updates. Sudo app update.
Sudo apt install. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
update
Update.
first
Yes.
because you have to update our all these binaries. And then right, so this is done. So what is the command to install Nginx?
Sudo apt install Nginx.
Are you sure?
It's apt.
Sudo install Nginx? No? What is it?
Apt.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's start again. Sudo apt install
Nginx.
engine. Oops, again. You're not telling me.
Apt.
Apt install engine X.
Ng. Yes.
That's
Now.
good. Yes. Enter. All done. That's fine. So basically, it's a web server for Linux called Nginx. We install it on this machine. So that's done. All right. So now to test this, what's the next plan? So what we're going to do to access this VM, we need to add inbound rule. But before we let's check is can we access this or not? Yeah. So let's copy this. So by default, it on the browser, if we just type it here, and enter. See, doesn't support a secret connection with HTTPS, so it's not gonna work. No,
Yes.
so it's not allowing to access because port it. So now coming back to our main subject, security and network security group. So if you go to network security group, network settings, and let's talk about NSG again. Now you can see, as we discussed in our first lecture, by default, when you create a machine, SSH is allowed. Yeah, 422.
Yes.
Any from any source to any can access this. Yeah,
Yes.
we allowed that unless you can make a specific rules that only certain machine can access this. We can discuss that in later. You can delete this and modify it, but you cannot delete and modify these three rules which are discussed. Allow, and deny. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's like because we tested this and we're not able to access this machine. So now let's create a inbound rule. Yeah.
Yes.
Source, any means. So what do you mean by
Any traffic
source?
can any traffic can come from the outside.
Outside, well done. Any port, any destination, and we say port HTTP, TCP will allow. Um, just leave this priority rule, and we can call allow any HTTP outbound. Uh, you can even just say allow HTTP port if you want to call it. Yeah, add
Yes.
it, add security rule. So you can see that allow any HTTP port 80 inbound or whatever you called it. And it's allow now. After a few seconds, let's refresh this. Stay.
Yes.
You connected now. Perfect. So that inbound rule where the port 80 we can access that. Now, one more thing what we can do, as we discussed in our plan, you can see that we created this rule and we can access from our laptop. That's an incoming request. So now in terms of source, we can, like we discussed all that already. So let's create a rule. So in this one, we create a range of port instead of 80, we do port range. So we go back again, create a rule, inbound rule, and port any HTTP again. And this time, actually, we just say custom, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
say 70 to 100. And this time we lower the priority. So I asked you last time, lower the priority means this rule
All
will
the
be affected first, and it
yes.
will
Okay.
disregard any other rules after this. It will take the precedence of this rule.
Yes.
Yeah?
And will we deny that the
Yes,
action?
sorry, good. Well done. Thank you, Shahbash. So we denied, so basically we denying range from 70 to 100. And in that 70, we got the port 80 also comes in. So what we expecting after we apply this rule?
It won't work
So
because
what are you expect? What's your expectation? What will happen? So now we got this rule and it's in top now, but port 80 is also there. So what will happen now? Will you be able to access the engine server or not, web server or not?
and not because the action is denied.
Yeah, let's refresh it. It takes few seconds. So what, let's go and copy that again and copy this again, go to our browser. So we should not get anything. So it's not get anything. So like your question, you said, what about if we allow this rule again and modify? See what happens here?
Yes.
Or we can go to this rule and if we go to deny and say, for example, what do you want to say? Allow?
Yes. Allow.
Allow and save. And if you go back again, see? Right.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
proved our point and we're testing. I hope this video is informative, and this is just the first lab of our NSG, and we need to do lots of exercises at one, and it is getting more interesting. So basically, like I said, NSG is the first line of defense to allow filter traffic inbound and outbound. Thank you, Rabia. See you in the next video.
Thank you, Gash.
Sure.